disturb. And we'll go to YouTube. And am I live? Let's see. Your channel. I am live. Sweet. Hit the thumbs up button if you're watching this afterwards. I got to turn down the volume. That's what I didn't do. I had to move this. I think my housekeeper or somebody moved the computer back. I got bad eyes. Let's see. I'm going to start doing scans. Scans. By the way, if anybody's in the private Facebook group and somebody messages you, you can use block. Let me see, where's the Pfizer one? Pfizer for Felicia. Cross up. Pfizer. So we'll put Pfizer on the scan. I have it there because I own it. Not a big fan of it though. Told Felicia. It's a bit of a... I don't like the way they handled the COVID vaccine after hearing about some of the things that they did. Morning, Zephin. Zephin, did your friend really fail at 300 pounds or something like that? Was he trying to bench press 300? I saw it on BeReal. I barely use BeReal. I think I have 10 people that view me on there. And my world is boring. I'm sitting on the freaking couch the 90% of the time. Devin is up. Meta is up. That's it. Rest are down. Nothing in the core investment group. Let's see if energy names crossed up. KOLD crossed up again. Wow. KOLD is up 6% in pre-market. That's just one that keeps on going. Levered ETFs, nothing. Low-cost Vanguard, let's see. Nothing. Spider sectors. Oh, for a squat. I was going to say bench press. Man, the guy looked tiny to do 335 on a bench press, but squat. I stopped lifting. I need to start lifting. As you get older, and you'll find this out, Evan, you're still young, but as you get older, it's so important to lift. And I don't do it just because I hate the freaking gym. I hate the gym. And I don't want, as a minimalist, I don't want to throw a gym in my house. I'll use it, but I hate clutter. I have dumbbells in my house. Like Frank Costanza, if you guys are Seinfeld fans, Frank Costanza, when him and Estelle break up, I have 3 neighbors that have tonal, and everybody loves it. But I probably should get something like tonal. I think tonal was the first one that kind of came out. I think there's probably cheaper knockoffs, and your boy's a knockoff boy. I didn't, for old school people, I didn't wear Levi's to school. I wore tough skins. Wasn't happy about it back then, but it seeped into my life. Completely understand it now. But yeah, I was a knockoff. So let me see. Is there a tonal knockoff? Let's see. Shopping. I think tonal's like $3,000 or something. Then, World's Smartest Home Gym. Tonal Complete Pack Premium. Peloton Strength Guide. I'll look for it later. Yeah, they have Mirror. They bought Mirror. But I don't think that it's a I don't think it's a full-on tonal thing. I think it's more of a stretch. Mirror is more of a stretch kind of thing than tonal is. But if it's Lulu, dude, Lulu is, pair of pants costs you $400 in Lulu. I haven't worn their stuff, but I hear it's crazy good. Like every time somebody tells me, and most of them are office workers who are like, yeah, we just want something comfortable that's at least going to look like it's classy. And I'm talking guys. For women, I think it's mainly workout clothes and the leggings and stuff like that. But for guys, I think the pants are like $150, $180 or something. But supposedly well worth it. So I don't know. It's interesting. The scans are going really slow. What am I looking at? Let me see. Let's go look at the pre-market movers. Pre-market. Because I do have one of them. ARB, ARBE was the one that I was looking at. It's up 58%. I think they got something going. I forget. ARBE to announce Q1 financial results. There's something going on with this one. $14 price target. It's at $4.35. I mean, that was just in February Maxim Group with a $14 price target. ARBE is the symbol. This morning, it is up 50% to $6. It's got a $14 price target on it. Crazy. Looking to see if I notice anything else. That was the one that I saw last night where, you know what? SGML. I have to talk about that one. SGML. I think that's the one. Tesla to buy is the rumor. There we go. I've got it in there. SGML. Okay, back to this. This is ARC Holdings. Do I like any of these? ACHR. I don't like any of the ARC stuff in today's market. I'm going to be right back. Dogs. Gotta hit the dogs up. dogs were sound asleep. They were just, seems like almost arguing. Okay, we'll go from the ARC holdings down to the Dow 30. By the way, Boeing is the pick of the week from Weekly Stock Pick. And I talked to him this morning, and he said it's a fairly good symbol still. Of the again, he picks from the Dow stock, so you only have 30 stocks to pick from. So QCLN. See, everything seems to be turning over. We quickly went in the market from, hey, this is going to be a soft landing, and the Fed is going to spin and actually cut later this year, all the way to 2 economic readings last week going, ooh, the Fed's probably going to raise higher than we expected. But I still have some pretty good pivot points for you on some stocks. And I think, honestly, Mike Wilson, I'm going to put this in. Mike Wilson said it best. You can trade this market if you want, but good investors are finding stocks that will lead us back to 4,800 on the S&P probably next year. That was, I think, the best advice that Mike Wilson gave this morning. I'll go over it again. Nothing on the Dow 30 crossed up. Interesting. I doubt that anything on the NASDAQ 100, let's see. PayX. I like this stock, but it's right in the middle of 2 gaps. Can't recommend that one. WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, still in an upward move right before earnings. I'm going to bring that one up. Because Paramount disappointed. Let me look at Para in comparison. See, they disappointed, but they had a really good subscriber count. WBD may be a good one. WBA, which is Walgreens. That's just kind of capitulating. I'm not going to bring that. Full disclosure, the reason I'm not bringing Walgreens up is because they seem to have closed their restrooms at the Walgreens that is on the path of my 10-mile walk. And, yeah, we're bearish Walgreens because of that. I go in there and do you guys have a bathroom that I can? No, we closed it. We're sorry, it's broken. It ain't broken. But I'm not a Karen, so I don't go in screaming. Energy is going to be a tough one. A tough hill to climb, in my mind. One I did want to look at the energy sector was because we had looked at Chord Energy as potentially having a special dividend to pop on this one, but God, you've just been in ever since January 26th, nothing in this one. I mean, that's the energy sector overall. It's not Chord's fault, but Chord is still a new company in the energy sector, low PE, good dividend. Year to date, down 2.68%. They've got a $170 price target. Problem I have, And again, it's not a huge issue. But look at the price on the stock sales. And those are all recent. They're not a lot of money. I mean, Lynn Peterson sold out about $1 million worth. Not a huge, but at 140, she's selling. And you're at 133. Kind of puts me in the mindset that, hey, 140 might be the price cap in that one. One that we looked at too, EP9. I need to look at 9. Because that was one of the best ones I liked last week, I think. 9 energy sources. Well, I said no. Again, with all the energy stuff. I mean, look at how far down this one is. Okay. I think I've got enough to look at this stuff. What's one that Bitcoin hit 25,000 over the weekend though. That one's been going nuts. Mara is down at 748. I think 7 probably is your price for Mara. And I'm going to run 9 got us out of that quick one. So I need to start scanning for exits as well as entries. Shopify's down another 2% at 42. I'm waiting to buy this one when it gets some confirmation again. They actually made money. I mean, again, I look for pricing power, and I think while it's expensive, I think this one has pricing power, and I'm looking to dollar cost average. I'm still holding a lot of this, so I'm looking to start dollar cost averaging this. But let's see what Carvana's doing. I want to see Carvana before I tell Willie. 56% short squeeze. I'll leave that one up. We're going to look at Carvana here. Where am I at? Okay, I'm on got you out with 122% gain. Yeah, earnings are coming up. Okay, let's start with SPY. SPY on the 4-hour, you're still out. Well, it just got you out. Okay, I'm going to put in SPY 4-hour. You're out with a 6% gain. QQQ 4-hour. Let's look at the Qs. Not out yet. But likely today. Likely. Okay. I'm going to start the podcast. Here we go. I'm going to start with SPY. Good morning. It's Tuesday, February 21st. No more talk of kissing your partner because it's past Valentine's Day. Wanted to start off, happy President's Day. If you celebrate things like that, I hope you guys have done well. I am on week 4 of walking/running at least 10 miles a day, 7 days a week. So my body's starting to give out. Ironically, it's funny. I have not lost an ounce of weight. I've been eating like a horse. So all the calories that I'm burning are kind of just going back in. I'm definitely healthier. My VO2 max, according to my Apple Watch, and yes, I'm bullish on Apple, $AAPL. But my Apple Watch is telling me that my VO2 max, because I'm not running as much as I was. So happy Mardi Gras. crew. Yeah, it is Mardi Gras Tuesday. That's right. It's Fat Tuesday. So cheers. Have a beignet on me. I don't drink alcohol, but have a beignet. I have several friends who are actually in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. So I wanted to start out by looking at SPY. And I do think, it's interesting. Let me start out with what Mike Wilson said from JP Morgan. And he's the biggest bear on the market. So for 20 years, he's been saying the market's going down, it's too strong, blah, blah, blah. So take his words with a grain of salt. But what was interesting was, and I thought this was super kind of applicable to everybody, he said you can trade the market if you want, but good investors are finding opportunities to get into stocks for when we get back to S&P 4800, which he thinks is next year. So if you think, again, it never is easy to buy on the way down. I bought I bought Google, I bought Disney a few weeks ago, I bought United Healthcare a few weeks ago, I bought Wells Fargo a few weeks ago. Or maybe a month ago. Not all of them have turned out to be positive, but I'm doing exactly what Mike Wilson said, which is I'm looking for opportunities to get into names or add to current names that will provide me a good, soft space. So if we get back to 4,800 on the S&P, the question is, does tech lead us there? Does energy lead us there? Does consumer discretionary lead us there? Which sector lead us there? Who knows? I'm just looking for good companies to get into. I look to try and beat the SPY or the VOO. If you want to chart yourself against something, just look at the year long. You can go into FinViz and you can type in SPY and you can look at your portfolio. Year to date, SPY is up 6.49%. So, take a look at that. If your portfolio is not up 6.49% year to date, you got a problem. So you're better off in VOO. So let's take a look at SPY. SPY, this is the 4-hour chart on our algorithm. Let me just make sure I got YouTube. Yeah. So you can see here, December 29th, buying at 383. This is probably the best indication of how this algorithm works. It got you in. It wasn't at a bottom. It got you in at 381 on December 28th, but the next candle got you out. I don't trade this on a bot. I trade this to look at entries to see where I'm at. I saw that this gap was covered. I can still see there's a gap down here between 360 and 363. That is from the October lows. That has not been covered. There's a lot of technicians out there that say that this one needs to be covered in order for us to continue to move up past 4,000. We spent some time at about 420 on SPY. That was a pretty bullish sense. And from overall market sentiment, I would say January was the Fed is going to continue to raise rates, but just for the short term. We're going to have a pause in either May or June where they just pause, and then there's no more rate increases for the rest of the year. We went from that, and the sentiment in January later was, we're going to actually reduce rates. The Fed is going to reduce rates. Again, the market was playing kind of poker, and they were asking for the Fed to bluff. Jay Powell didn't knock the market down. So the market said, you know what, we're going to continue to go up. Then what happened was last week, we got a couple of data sets with the 2 weeks ago, the January jobs numbers, super strong. Boom, we go down. Then last week, some speak from Jerome Powell, from some of the Fed people, and some of the inflation reports that said inflation is still in the market. Boom, we go down more. Well, you're seeing the button hook right here. And SPY, officially, you're out with a 6.16% gain. That's a really good gain in SPY. And when I go and I look at the Qs, it's kind of the same thing, except the Qs haven't gotten you out because some moving averages just haven't crossed over in the algorithm. And so it will probably get you out today, but that's going to be like a, 6-7% gain as well. Again, it doesn't time it at the top, doesn't time it at the bottom. It plays in a middle ground, and that's the algorithm that I have in TrendSpider. If you want access to the algorithm, sign up for TrendSpider with the link below. Use DSP25. I think there's another day. It was 35% off. You can get that. Just send me a quick message on one of the social platforms. I'll give you access to my algorithm on TrendSpider. There is a 65-minute algorithm that I use for day trading that is in the video that's on YouTube right now. How to become a better trader with TrendSpider. It's about an hour long with a David Yoakum of Yoakum's Charting on Twitter. And it's a great algorithm. It's basically just an 8-day EMA. Buy below the 8-day EMA and sell when it gets when it crosses down. So again, this is kind of the algorithm that you're looking at. It tells me we're in a little downward trend. And where's the support levels at? Well, if I go into TrendSpider here and I just hit AutoFib. And Fibonacci, you can look it up on Investopedia.com, but Fibonacci just takes the movement that you see and says, okay, where's our support levels? Well, you got 292 here on the Qs. We're trading at 301. If you break through that, you got 285. If you break through that, it's 279. The 285 is the VWAP, kind of volume-weighted average pricing. So you can see clearly here, you got some support levels here at about 290. We're probably going to break that 300 today, but AutoFib is a good way to look at some support levels. Also, there's a good way to look at support levels if you take this volume-weighted December 13th, which was the high, which got us to almost 300. If you take a look at these volume shelves on the right-hand side, right here you can see there's a volume shelf level at 293. So we probably have some support there. So it's an interesting market, but I do think that we're trending down. You can see the MACD trending down. So I would play your inverse ETFs if you're playing those, SQQQ, some of the other ones. We have them in our levered ETFs to trade. Let's see. SPXU is one. This is one. It's up 2% in the pre-market. You can clearly see this one goes up when the market goes down. We had a buy-in here at 1378. You're at 1397, and you still have confirmation. You got this gap up here between 17 and 18, which needs to be filled. It was only partially filled with the December kind of rundown, and then with the January run up, this one goes down. So you got this buy-in here, February 7th. Pretty good timing. Not horrible, but if you wanted to buy it at 1397 and see if it gets back up to this gap, because we're in a quote-unquote bear market and the market's going to be beaten down, might be a good opportunity for you. SARK is the short of the ARK funds. And the ARK funds, right now you had on February 7th, 39.24 was the buy. You got all the way up here to 42, which was your 10%. You kind of came back down. And you're down at 39.42 right now. 39.24 was when you buy in. 39.42. The MACD is crossing up. The RSI is at 43. If you think that we're continuing to go down, this is one that you want to look at. SQQQ is up 3% in the pre-market. The buy-in here was 35.29 on February 7th. And I bought in up here, have gotten out, but I bought in up here, didn't make money, kind of lost money on this one, but got out before this big downturn. I'm looking at probably getting it back into this one because I do think that we have more bad news in the market than good news. It's kind of my thing. But there's your look at kind of the overall market, how to play it. But I do think that Mike Wilson put it best. If you're looking to, time the market this year, trade around it. Go ahead, trade it. Try and make your money. Do whatever you want. Find the big movers. You can look at these pre-market movers. I was looking at ARBE today. If you want to listen earlier on YouTube, you can go to about the 2-minute mark where I was looking at ARBE. Interesting one. I think it's got a $14 price target and it's trading from $2 to $6 this morning. But it's an interesting one. If you want to trade around stuff like that, you absolutely can. My strategy is just to buy on the down days and, take a look at it for the long term. I will hold typically for a year for ones that I'm buying on these downturns. So, for instance, the Wells Fargo, if we just look at Wells Fargo, WFC is the symbol. I can take a look. Let me just change this back to this. WFC, you're seeing the button hook. The algorithm hasn't gotten you out, but I'll probably stay in this one. It's a small position, just a couple $1,000s for me. But I bought here at 41.50, I think is where I got in. 41.29 was the algorithm price. It went down, honestly, to about $40. Wasn't too worried about it. It's still a good company, well run. Wrote it into earnings. You're at 47.26. It's a 20% gain. I also have gotten the dividend in between there. I've got to, because it's a taxed in my brokerage account, and there's tax implications. I got to look, do I want to get out and maybe buy more at 40, or do I just want to hold it and buy more at 40? I'm a big fan of this one. The other one that I like in the banking space is Bank of America. This one had you out with a 3% gain right here, but the buy-in here at 31.76 was probably the best one. Got you out with a 4% gain. And then got you right back in. I probably would have just been holding at 31.76. Your ex-dividend date is coming up on March 2nd. I think you wait till it gets to the 200-day to add to any position or to initiate any position. And that 200-day is trading at 34.49 right now. I think you've got some pretty good support to head down to that level. But I do think that it's a good stock. Let's look at some that some folks have asked me to look at. So William on Facebook asked me to look at Workhorse, WKHS. This was a huge, and I mean huge, play during the EV market of 2020 and 2021. All they had to do was say, hey, we have a drawing of a truck, and we're going to make this truck. And boom. The stock would go from like $1 to $10. And let's take a look. I'll look at a weekly on this one because you can see just look at that. 2020, you go from $2 all the way up to almost $40. But it's been a slide down ever since. I don't think that it's a good stock. And when I say I don't think it's a good stock, they have been run poorly. They have made some claims like Nikola. Where Nikola pushed a truck down a hill. I think Ford or GM put some money into Workhorse. I just don't think it's a good company to buy and hold. You can absolutely 100% trade it. And the reason I say trade it is year to date, you're up 39.47%. You're 51% above your 52-week low, which was $1.40. You're 60% below your 52-week high, $5.39. I don't think that this one has anything other than a short squeeze going for it. There's no coverage on this one that is worth anything. Roth Capital on August sent them down to a neutral to $3.50. You can look at this. There's a good Simply Wall Street article. Is Workhorse in a good place for growth plans? When I scroll down here, what it is interesting, and it's not huge value though, is the VP and the directors who are buying at like $1, and they're even buying at $3. Like this guy, March Stanley Raymond, in March of last year, he bought, and they're still holding because they'd have to identify any sale. And so Clark Mitchell here sold at $1.85. And he sold, it was $73,000 worth. So maybe he had to put a pool in his backyard. Who knows? But you can look at those values. It's not huge values. A lot of this might be buying just from a standpoint of, this guy, March Stanley Raymond, bought at $1.90 and $1.88. He's doing well because you're trading at $2.12. He's the VP of Business Development. He may know something. But I don't know that would be enough for me to actually turn around and buy this one. The algorithm has you buy in at $2.20. You're at $2.12 right now. Their earnings are coming up. Lord knows what they're going to make on earnings. But you can see if we just scroll back here, in August of last year, they lost 13 cents a share. And then in December, they announced they lost 22 cents per share. They're just not making money. There's no money in this company. So until they start making money, I don't think that you want to put money into it, trade around it. Obviously this $1.52 on December 30th, and you made 50%. So it's decent from a trading standpoint, but don't expect you're going to get back up to those $40 price points anytime soon, because they're going to have to make money. RCMT. Joe told me this is RCM Technologies. I know nothing about this one. Looks like you do have a $12 buy, $12.98, and you're up at $14.05. Joe, what the hell does RCMT do? Let me see. RCMT. They are an industrial conglomerate. They have a PE of 6, so they are making money. They're up 13.8% year to date. B. Riley upgraded them to $23, and they're trading at $14. If we look at insider transactions, people are selling at $14, $15 most recently. Not huge amounts. I mean, you're talking this director, Richard Genovese, $375,000. Roger Ballou sold about $200,000 worth. So it's not a huge amount. They might just be selling, but to be selling at 20 and all the way down, you're selling. That's a little concerning. But let's see, the short interest, they're not shorted. They're only 4% shorted. It's an interesting one. From a standpoint, I would read up a little bit about it. It's definitely on the radar of institutional investors who own 34% of the company. That's always a good, when institutional investors own a significant amount of the company, that's a good thing. Again, you have this buy-in here. I don't see a golden cross, but it does look like, if I go to the daily, so the golden cross is the 50-day crossing up on the 200. The 50-day right now is at 1343. The 200-day is 1483. You can see here, it just didn't want to cross up. And so my belief is this year, for the last year, you've just had, you had this death cross here. And then you thought you were coming back, but the 200 days in a downward trend. I would argue that you're still in a downward trend on the 200-day. So you've got to be careful, because that 50-day, see how that 50-day just bounced off that 200-day? The RSI is super high here at 63. It's been on a run, so maybe there's some other indicators that you can use to look at this one. The algorithm does not do very well in this one. The algorithm loses you 4% versus buying and holding over a 2-year period, you make 200% on this stock. So the algorithm getting you in and out just has not done you any favors. But again, who could have, back here in 2022 when you were trading at $6, who knew you were going to go way up like that? You probably weren't making any money. But again, the algorithm kind of just bounces you in and out. So it's probably not a great one to trade on this one. But RCMT, Joe's got that one. I posted in the private Facebook group, SGML. SGML is a lithium company, and there were rumors on Friday that Tesla was buying them. And this one shot up, just immediately shot up. It popped up 25% on Friday. Let's see where it is. SGML. SGML. It is up at 35 in pre-market. It's up 20%. The RSI is at 49. This one is just gonna go crazy. Tesla went into an agreement with an Australian mining company as well. It does look like they are looking at taking advantage of some of the beaten down kind of materials things and looking for the long term. So what would I do with this? I don't know that I'd buy SGML on the bounce, because remember, we talk about any reaction in the market is an overreaction. And at 30, it would have been great if you would have listened to the algorithm and gotten in at 29.38, because again, you're up 20% at 35 today. You're above the 200-day. You've got that golden cross working with you. If we look at the 52-week range, and again, remember, you're trading at $35. The 52-week range is between $8.76 and $39.93. So you're 236% above your 52-week low, which was just back here in like, June, July. So year to date, this one's up 4%. Performance over 1 year, it's up 187%. The forward PE, they're expected to make money. They're not making money right now. If Tesla does buy them out, I don't know that there's a official thing, but it's just rumors, and it was reported in the press. January, BMO Capital Markets outperformed. Bank of America Securities said they had a $14 price target on it, and it's trading at $35 right now. So that was an interesting one on Friday. But if you wanted to, in my mind, Tesla's getting to the point where it's at 204.95 right now. You haven't had the golden cross, and I don't know that the golden cross is going to come anytime soon. But I see this button hook happening. In my mind, if you wanted to add to your position, and I very well may, under $200 is your buy on Tesla. I think they've got enough demand. I think they've got enough forward-looking positive things. I think Elon has said by the end of the year he should have a new CEO for Twitter, so he's going to be back to this. They just had a full self-driving. They released version 11. You've got the Cybertruck coming up. You've got Investor/Product Day on March 1st. I think you have enough catalyst in this one that at some point in time this year, you hit the 256. So adding below 200 is probably the best bet. Now, there is still this gap between 153 and 147, which they could come back to. Because if you look at Tesla, again, the PE is still high at 57, forward PE at 37. You're only 3% shorted on this one. So don't expect this one to be a short squeeze. This was run up 70% year to date. And the reason it was run up 70% year to date is because of retail trading. February 15th, Barclays claimed they were overweight with a $275 price target. Again, I think this one, if you want to time it and you want to look at it, I would probably be waiting for that gap. You're also talking to a guy who was waiting for it to hit an $85 price gap. And all of a sudden, Elon reduces the price of the Model 3 and the Model Y, gets some subsidies. All of a sudden, it's the best-selling car in California. All of a sudden, he announced that the Cybertruck is moving in. All of a sudden, there's some Megapack storage facilities that they're building for utilities around the country. You've got all kinds of catalysts for this one. So I do think that it needs a pullback, and it needs it probably to about 180 or so before that golden cross happens. But if you want to time it, I would wait for this one, 147 to 155. But if you want to start a position like I will, I'll probably just buy it when it hits under 200. It hit under 200 last week, and I think it ran all the way up to about 215, 220, somewhere in that neighborhood. But it's a good one. One that I do like and is in our core portfolio is Intuit. Intuit reports on Thursday. You've got this ascending triangle that you've broken out below. I don't know that this is a good time to get into it. It's a little rich. And the reason I say it's a little rich is the PE is 61. The forward PE is 26. If you've got a softening market here, they make TurboTax. They have Mint, which I use. There's a lot of products that I use with these guys. The RSI is at 41. The MACD is kind of crossing down. Their earnings, it's going to be a tough print, and the key is going to be guidance. And with that PE, I don't know that they can provide enough guidance. You look at Walmart this morning. You look at Home Depot this morning, providing soft guidance. That's what seems to be the common theme, is that, hey, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot and go gung-ho and show all positive kind of, go forward numbers. We're going to be a little bit more restrictive in this, because if we guide to the higher end of our earnings, we may get hurt when we don't hit it later in the year. And so I think they're going to be on the conservative side. And I think that's going to bring this one back down. And I think you're going to see probably under 400. I would say under 400 is probably a buy on this one. Their 52-week range is between 339 and 507. You are right in the middle right now. So 400 in my mind is the pivot point. Wait till it's under 400. When it gets to under 400, I think you may want to add to your position. Don't load up. There's gaps all the way above this one. The ones below have been filled, but there are gaps up above. Specifically 440 to 446. So you're seeing the breakdown of this ascending triangle. The MACD is crossing. It's just in a downward fall. So I'd be careful of that one. Weekly stock picks this week is Boeing. Boeing was his pick last week. If you were in Boeing, I got in, I think, around 215. It's trading right now at about 208. It's down. I think 200 is your swing on this one. I would probably wait. If you want to play weekly stock picks, I don't think 208 is a bad price point. Again, I bought one share last week. I'll probably buy another share this week, today, at about 208, 205. I may put in an order at like 199.99 just because it might get under 200. In a market that, you're only down 1.31% on this. There's no catalyst in this one. That's expected. The big catalyst last week was, the big order. But Boeing is his pick this week. I'd just be a little bit careful. I'm still holding the share from last week, by the way. I didn't get out of it. Felicia wanted me to look at Pfizer. And I went over and I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was on YouTube, but I went over Pfizer last week in that I took it out of the core portfolio. I added one in, and I don't know which one it was. I forget which one I added in, but I added one in and I had to take one out. And so I said, Pfizer is one that I'm going to take out. And it wasn't, you're up here in December at 50 and you've slid all the way to 43. This is not one that you necessarily, quote unquote, trade, even though the algorithm makes you 53% on this over a two-year period. A 2-year period buying and holding makes you 27%. You do have a decent dividend on this one. My issue with Pfizer is more probably just that I don't like what's coming out about the COVID vaccine and how they handled it. There were some issues at the beginning, and you guys all remember this, when Pfizer said, the CEO came out and said, it's kind of going to, we expect this to be as good and to squash the pandemic. And if you get the vaccine, you won't get the actual COVID infection. And that turned out to not be true. And it's coming out that there was some internal, even though he was saying in public that you won't get the COVID infection, it's come out that he may have known that it didn't prevent it. It just kind of made it lesser. And so, again, with a CEO kind of, doing a pump, it's kind of why I don't like Moderna. I have Moderna in our core portfolio because I think it's a good opportunity. But I just don't like the CEO always pumping. He's always pumping. In fact, with Moderna, you got to buy in here at 168. You're trading at 166. You traded all the way up to 176. So you had, just under 10%, but your earnings are coming up February 22nd. But Pfizer, I don't think that they are as affected by the government's not paying for COVID vaccine anymore as Moderna, because Moderna is a one-trick pony. Pfizer's portfolio is vast, and it's huge. And Felicia was asking specifically, should she get out of it? I would say no. And while I currently hold this one, and I don't necessarily look at the stock price, I've been looking at getting out all the way since it crossed $50, and I just haven't. And part of the reason I haven't is because I do think that the $53 price is justified for this one. You've got gaps up, so I would probably hold out until you get to the $50 price point, and that's where I would probably sell it. I don't think that this one has a long time sitting down. I think it's just beaten up because everybody's sick of COVID, and this one's just getting that brought down. But you can see every time it's come down to the 200-day, it continually just goes back up. So I wouldn't say sell it at 43. There's no rush. There's no timetable on it. I would say a $50 price target is probably, if you wanted to get rid of it then. Just hold on to it. If you need capital and you need dollar amounts, absolutely. I don't think you would mind getting rid of it. But it hasn't been down here since October 2021, when they just had released the boosters, but the boosters were kind of like, maybe we're going to get them, maybe not. Then they had crazy earnings announcements, and then there was rumor that China might license their mRNA vaccines, and then you just kind of steadily went down. So you're just coming down to the 200-day. Personally, I just don't think that I want to hold this one long term, but I personally am waiting for that $50 price target because I do think that that's probably where I'll sell. Willie sent me a couple of messages he wants me to cover Carvana and Lucid, and a third one, Square. Carvana is an interesting one because at no point in time does a car need a vending machine. And these guys just poured a ton of capital into their company. Now you've got what has caused this from $4 all the way up to about 20, I think, 1987 on February 2nd. And you can see the volume in this. This was a short squeeze, 100% a short squeeze. The rumor is that Carvana may have been able to stave off bankruptcy. They are not making money. There is a 55% short interest in this. Their earnings are coming up. Year to date, you're up 139% in this stock. The algorithm just got you out with 122% gain. So if you're brave enough to take a falling knife at $4.74, you were rewarded by doubling your money, 122%. Now, you do have earnings coming up on February 23rd. That's what people are waiting for. I don't know that I'd necessarily roll the dice and get into this one. You do have a golden cross that seems to be coming. But with a company that's not making money, with a company that has been feared of bankruptcy, with car prices, basically they got rid of a ton of their inventory. And I still think delivering a car to your house when you order it on the internet is just too costly. I just think their operation is that. Now, on the other side, Lucid. So I think, Willie, on Carvana, I'd play the short squeeze. I don't know that I'd necessarily roll the dice into earnings, though. If you're in that one, I'd probably get out of it if you have a profit. I think pigs get slaughtered. I don't know what the saying is. Lucid is in the same situation, but a little bit different. So Lucid, the algorithm got you in at 660. You do have same exact thing. You almost have a golden cross that seems to be happening, but it's capitulating here right before their earnings, which is tomorrow. I think it's after the bell tomorrow. Or is it pre-market? It's post-market. So it's tomorrow after the bell. This $6.60, it got you out with a 50% gain up here at about $10.52, which is right where you're about trading today, $10.50. It's down about 4%. The reason this one went up is because the Saudis are expected to take this one private. They own somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% of Lucid, and they could easily just drop the rest of the money into this and make it. Citigroup with a buy at $12 is their price target. That was January. December 15th, Bank of America Security, $21 price target, which is absolutely effing crazy. But here's your problem with Lucid as an EV person. And by the way, let's look at the insiders. the Public Investment Fund, which is a 10% owner, they're a director, they bought at $10.68. They bought, that's almost 914. That must be the Saudis. Maybe it's 914 million shares. That was on December 22nd. The CEO exercised his options at 321,000. Again, that's just probably putting a pool in the backyard. So there's not too many things, but you should probably read some of these things about Lucid with their pricing. And so here's the problem that you have with Lucid. He went out of the gate kind of in the Tesla model. Hey, we're going to basically fund our production with this high-end, high-margin, super expensive car. Now, the Lucid Air is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it in person, it's a really pretty looking car. It's got incredible stats as far as an EV. If you have $130,000, $140,000 laying around, it's probably the car that you buy because it is that good. It really, really is that good. The charging stats are great. Everything about it. The guy who's the CEO, Rawlinson, he was the engineer that designed the Model S for Tesla. So he's got some skin in the game. I mean, he's really got some clout. The only reason this is going from 10 to probably 20 at some point in time is if the Saudis take it private. It jumped here on this day from about $9 to about $14 on the rumor that the Saudis were taking it private. Since then, all you've seen is it slide. And so with the earnings coming up tomorrow, I don't know what they're going to announce, but you can see 33 cents a share they lost, 40 cents a share they lost. They don't get government subsidies, and they've built out a production plan that is enormous with an enormous car where they currently have a demand problem. They have a demand problem. They're not selling as much because if we're going into a recession, people just aren't buying $140,000 cars. So I'd stay away from this one. I could be completely wrong. But I just think there's safer places to put your money than something like this that's not making money with such a short interest. I think you're going to basically be getting a huge move either way. But I'd rather see you stay out of it and play it like a trader than to actually roll the dice and play it like and have it back down to 6 after they announce, hey, we're just not making money. Now, as far as Square goes, I own both Square and PayPal long term. Square, the algorithm has you out. It got you right back in at $80, then it got you right back out. You're trading at 74.07. You had a golden cross here at about 64. It ran all the way up to about 90. So it was a great run in the month of January. This is one that just, again, scale in size. They're not making money. Their forward PE is 43. They don't have a dividend. Year to date, they're up 19%. Oppenheimer downgraded them January 25th. January 3rd, Baird upgraded them from $62 to $78, and they're trading at 75. So I wouldn't expect this one to pop. Their earnings are coming out with Bitcoin at 25,000. I think you've seen that in the run. So I wouldn't, you could expect them, again, they made 42 cents per share, but that's on an EBITDA basis. You can see the RSI is down at 38. I don't think it's a bad one to buy. Just from a 52-week standpoint, your 52-week high is 149. You're right in the middle. I mean, they're probably going to announce some type of, same thing. Hey, we're doing okay. We're making some money. We're doing some improvements. Nothing huge. You can look at Investors Business Daily. Is Square buy? They just published this one yesterday. 10 most blockchain shots to hold. I'm a fan of Square. I just don't know what it's going to do on earnings. Honest to God. I would say with this run, you're probably looking at coming back down towards the 200-day at 66. If I were to guess, that's exactly where. Home Depot. I wanted to cover this one, not because they had earnings today, but because I do think that there's a swing point here. And I think Home Depot's swing point is 300. So if you're looking at 300, there's this gap here between 288 and 297. If we continue to go down, I think that gap absolutely 100% gets covered. Right now, it's trading at 302. I think for me, anything under 300, I think you could buy it. Anything over 300, I think you look at selling. Home Depot, the PE is 19, super expensive for just a home product company. They blamed their miss on revenue on the reduction in price in lumber. I mean, you could believe them. I went to Home Depot, Friday? It was fairly empty. I mean, it just wasn't full. They had a ton of stuff on the shelves. They had nobody working, but the store was absolutely completely empty. Now, you are in February, not necessarily spring. I bought all my fertilizer. I found a coupon, blah, blah, blah. It was pretty good. So that's a stock that I think 300 is your swing. Let's look at NVIDIA real quick. I'm going to tell you, NVIDIA, Google, and Amazon. Baird announced them, all three, as top picks going into this year. They said for the rest of the year, those are their picks based on AI. NVIDIA is up 0.15% in pre-market. Amazon is down 1%. I said Amazon under 100. I'm buying more. There's a slight gap here between 86 and 87. But as you see, the golden cross kind of happened. I'm continuing to add to my position here under 100. I'll buy more of Amazon. And finally, Google. We buy GOOG, not GOOGL. But Google is down at 92.96 in pre-market. I bought more, I think at like 98, 99. Under 100, I think you can add to your position. The algorithm has you out. There's a 7% gain you had here, but you were out February 10th. It hasn't gotten you back in. The MACD is still crossing down. The RSI is at 38. The volume on this one is still pretty high, but it hasn't brought the stock price up. You had a golden cross here on February 8th. That has done nothing to pull the stock up. Absolutely nothing. So I would be a little bit careful with Google. I think you might head down to the 80s. If you get into the 80s, add to it. Just add to it. In my mind, again, Mike Wilson's advice, you're looking for stocks that you can add to for when we get to S&P 4800 again. The PE on this one is 19. I mean, these guys just print money. They had a bad AI showing. January 31st, Bank of America Securities, they said buy with a $120 price target. I mean, look at the price target. The mean price target on this one is $123, and you're going to go down to 80. So you can see there's a ton of sales here of recent between November, January, and December. Nothing of huge value. I mean, William John Kent, who's the president of Global Affairs, he sold $1 million worth. That's nothing to these guys. The senior VP sold $2 million worth. Probably putting a pool in his backyard. Again, that's kind of the way I see those three. But again, Baird announces NVIDIA, which has been extended, by the way, and brings me to my next point. NVIDIA earnings are this week. They are tomorrow after the bell, I think. Yes, tomorrow after bell. The algorithm does not have you out, but it does look like you're getting a cross down here. The question is going to be, what is their forward path? And what are they going to announce as a forward earnings? You can see 51 cents, 58 cents. If you want to read more about NVIDIA earnings, I guarantee you there is an article on FinViz. Just look at, with earnings due, is it a buy? Investors Business Daily. Quartz, Wall Street cares less about NVIDIA earnings, more about its future. That's 100% what it is. What are they going to announce? I think that the price point on this one, I think it remains under 200. Buy it all day long. Over 200, I think you sell it. It has covered all of its gaps, other than I think there's a gap earlier when it was selling at about 400, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe it did cover that gap. It covered this gap up here between 229 and 231. It covered that. So I don't know that there's any gaps to fill up here, but I do think that this one with the 200-day turning positive, I think you're good on this one. If we were to look at the daily on this, you had this golden cross here back on January 25th and continued to rise. You're seeing the button hook. You've covered this gap back here. I think the gaps have been covered. So I think NVIDIA, again, I would tell you that one's a good one too. An interesting one that came up this morning, VIR. Goldman put a price target of $53 on this. Today it's trading at $28. And it closed, I think it closed at $25. So it's up 11% in pre-market. But VIR Biotechnical, Goldman said 53 price target based on their flu vaccine. The flu vaccine. So if they are to get a flu vaccine, they have a PE of 3. They haven't announced any future earnings. Performance year to date up 1.7. Goldman neutral to buy with a $53 price target. The mean target price is $54. It's a biotech, a little bit you can expect some volatility, but these guys are selling at around 26 to 30, and you're trading at 28. Even if you get to 30, nice little 10% boom. But I think you could probably hold that one for a little bit longer. The danger is that there is a gap down here between 23 and 22. But if their flu vaccine comes out like Goldman expects, you could expect a big one there. Walmart had earnings. This was part of their big earnings miss this morning, which kind of sent the futures down a little bit. Walmart is trading at 145. In pre-market, it closed at about 146. I think it's just about 1% down. In my mind, 140 is your swing on this one. They gave some light guidance, but 140 in my mind is your swing. You guys know I like Target better. I think Target has a better opportunity. Their earnings are coming up on February 27th with the muted kind of Walmart earnings. Target pulled back to about 170. I might add to it. You've covered the small gaps. The bigger gap is back here. Let me pull it back a little bit. The bigger gap is back here up to about 211. So I think that's probably a better bet. ARBE was a pre-market. ARB Rockets. I kind of went over that one. If you want to see more about it, ARB Rockets is trading up at $6.50. Here's the chart on it. The algorithm had a buy-in here at $3.70 back on February 16th last week. Couldn't have told that it was going to jump up like this, but it had some upward momentum. Right now, it's trading at $6.53. But ARBE, go to FinViz to look at it. I wanted to point out BABA is back under a 100. It is at 97. I wouldn't buy it right here. I would wait till you get down to the 92 range to cover that gap. You've also got some gaps down here at 79. If we start really trailing off, I think BABA could go down there. You have their earnings February 22nd tomorrow. I think it's after the bell. Nope, pre-market. So it's tonight. Yeah, you can get in. The algorithm has you out. Got you in at 101, then got you right out with a 1% loss. The algorithm loses you 40% on this. Buying and holding the stock loses you 60% over 2 years. Your average win is 12%. This one just got you out of a 24% run. You do have a gap above between 114 and 117. So if for some reason China company comes out and says, you know what, we're going to do great. It's China. They may say that. You could probably move in there. By the way, we're at 50 minutes right now on the podcast. So I had a lot to go over. We can look at Meta. Meta announced they're launching a paid verification service that is expensive AF. It's up 2.24% in pre-market at 176. The $11 a month will add to their bottom line significantly from brands and things of that sort. It won't make a huge dent in their earnings because these guys already print a ton of money, but it will help them if they are able to get people verified and do a better process and stop bots and things of that sort. Meta might be a buy here, but I do think that you kind of cover this gap down to 155. That's kind of where I'm waiting to add back to it. Boyle is down below $5 at 467. It's just tanking this morning. I mean, when I woke up, I think it was 520. It's at 466 right now. KOLD, in fact, has another cross up. It's a secondary cross-up. And it's the RSI is at 69. But you trade the trend in this one. And KOLD right now has all the trend. If you listen to our algorithm and you oh, I gotta record. If you bought in at December 19th, $17.40 on our algorithm, December 19th, you are at $78 right now. You have 4 times your money. Kudos to you. That was a tremendous buy with staircases all the way up. This is a decaying asset. So once you lose confirmation, you want to basically sell out. So you haven't lost confirmation. I think around here, around $60, I probably would have gotten nervous around here and probably sold out. But if you have, if you're levered to the tits, as the kids say, then you are up at 78, and it's still got confirmation. It is up 9.38% today in pre-market KOLD. Crazy. ARKK. I wanted to point this out. ARKK for me, there's a pivot point here at about $40. It's at $40.64. I don't think that there's gaps below this that need to be filled. But in my mind, I think if you were to look at adding to this, I think $40 may be your price point to add to it. You had this golden cross at February 7th. It hasn't done anything for the stock price. The 50-day still moving up. The 200-day still moving forward. I would say if you wanted to start a position in this one, I think 40 is not a bad position to start. If you wanted to wait, then maybe down here closer to the 200-day at 36. But I think between 36 and 40, I think you could start adding to your ARKK. I am out of all the ARK funds. I don't own any, but I may add more. Bank of America, anything under 35 in my mind, is a great price on this one. It is probably coming down to the 200-day, and you can see what it did last time it kind of got to the 200-day. Used it as a little bit of resistance and then broke out, but it just pulled it right back in. And so your golden cross here on February 1st, where the stock was selling at about 36, you only got up to about 37. So it wasn't a huge catalyst with that golden cross. But if you go to the daily and you look at, and again, these bank stocks will make more money with a higher interest rate because they're able to charge more to people. So I think you do have the start of another golden cross. You have the catalyst of the ex-dividend date coming up on March 2nd. So I thought it was interesting. We talked about NVIDIA. We talked about Intuit, and we talked Medtronics is another one that MDT, Michael David Thomas, they're having earnings that are coming up as well. Actually, they had earnings, so I shouldn't put them in. But let's talk about our cross-ups because I want to keep this to about an hour. Pfizer, we talked about already. Data cross-up at 43.22. If you wanted to start a position there, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's more on a moral standpoint. Again, biopharmaceuticals for me, I think they save lives. But I think this particular one with their CEO, I just have a little bit of an issue with. KOLD, we talked about their secondary cross-up. Great run on this one. Just crazy. One that has a cross-up now is NEO. They have their earnings coming up later. $10.20. NEO is a cross-up. The RSI is at 38, so it's in no man's land, but $10.20. I would be a little bit careful about this one. I think that NEO probably has found a floor at about $10, but I would be slightly careful in that if we are heading down and China is not doing as well as we think, I think with Baba's earnings, we might find that out. This one is not making money, and it's a China stock, so I would be careful. November 28th, Jefferies resumed coverage. They said their price target is $11. The average price target is $18. But you can see this goes all the way back through last year where they just had crazy valuations. But there's some catalysts here. And NEO, $10.20. XPEV, which is another Chinese automaker, has a cross up, and it's $9.53. You're in this ascending triangle, which you've broken down. You've broken below it, so be careful. That's, it's not a company that's making money. They have earnings that are coming up probably about the same time that NEO does. There's no catalyst on the front, but the algorithm has you buying in at $9.53. Penn National Gaming. The Super Bowl is over. The big betting window has closed. $32.34. The RSI is at 41. The MACD is kind of below the oscillator. Looks like a pretty good buy. If you think that this one is going back to 35, I think you could buy it here. Again, 32, 34, but it's trading at 31. It's down a little bit. With a weakening economy, I'd probably wait for it. Maybe about this $30 mark is, $30.55. I think you might be able to time it if you wanted to. Beyond Meat is one that came up. Be careful of this one. It is a short squeeze, I believe. $17.13 is the buy-in. You're just coming off this 30% gain. You had a golden cross. It hasn't done much for the stock, but you do have confirmation. Your RSI is a little bit high at 54. The MACD is kind of there, but you do have earnings coming up February 23rd on Wednesday, and I think it's post-market. Yeah, after the bell on Wednesday. Fubo. Fubo is Fubo TV, streaming video service, and that's the last two that I cover. Fubo, $2.36 is your buy-in here. The RSI is at 46. Your earnings are coming up on February 24th. After it's pre-market on February 27th. So that's later this week. But Fubo TV, $2.36. Just be careful. This one is not making money. It is not making money. It's a streaming service that is not making money. They are up 36% year to date. There's a 23% short interest in this one. The most recent price target is $6 from Wedbush back in September. So this is one to just be careful of, but $2.36. Just realize it does have $1 down here, most recently back in January. The next one, which I kind of like, is Warner Brothers. WBD. Welcome, Boy David. $15.28. And you're trading at $15 right now. The algorithm does have it a little bit, the chart is a little bit high. The golden cross happened when the stock was trading at about $14.26. The stock price hasn't moved much since then. I mean, it's gone up a little bit, but that golden cross didn't do much for this. There is a gap up here all the way up to 17. So if you buy it 15 and for some reason it goes up to 17, kudos, great job. You are coming off a 50% gain, So your average win on this is 12%. So I think that 15, if that for some reason they were to come out and say, hey, we had a record amount of subs, I just don't think that that's going to happen. But the other streamer actually came out with pretty good stuff. Disney came out and said that they had an increase in subs. Paramount Global came out and said that they had an increase in subs. So Warner Brothers might come out with one. They might shock you. So, okay, I'm trying to keep it under an hour. I will be on YouTube for a little bit longer, but there's your look at some stocks. Hopefully you listened. If you made it this far, gentleman's agreement, just go over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. If you are listening on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up as well. If you made it this far on the podcast, look up above. Is there a 5-star thing where you could rate me 5 stars? I certainly appreciate it. Anything else that you want, the socials are in the description. There's a link tree. You can get to anything. I started a newsletter that will come to your news email every morning if you sign up for it. Right now, it's just the podcast, but I plan on doing some charts. So if you're interested in charts, if you have any questions for me, certainly reach out on any of the socials. I think my email's in there. I believe you can join the private Facebook group. If you look right under my picture, there's a bunch of logos of socials. Facebook is all the way to the left. Just do that, and you can join the private Facebook group. But if you have any questions, definitely hit me up if you want me to go over a stock. Thanks, you guys, for listening. Appreciate it. Bye. Export song to disk. Export. Okay, now I get to your comments on YouTube. Oh, got to sneeze. Oh. Devin, I'm getting Google too. Morning, Sherry. Morning, Justin. Morning, Brian. Morning, Larry. I saw a great one on Instagram this morning with Larry. Not you, Larry, but there was a Larry who was molding a clay sculpture. And somebody said, "Ooh, Larry, what are you doing? A doorstop right there?" And Larry's like, "Ooh, it's a doorstop." Is Visa weekly pick? I thought it was just Boeing. He usually only does one stock. So here's my look at Boeing. I went over this earlier, but Boeing, I am still holding the stock at 215. I only bought one stock, so one share. I will probably buy. I think that 200 is your pivot point on this one. I think that you can see here, if I move this back a little bit. So if you look, let's pull this back. So this is a volume shelf. If I just look at who's holding the stock since October, the October lows, you can see at 205, there's a clear volume shelf. If you break 205, I think you come down here to 190. I'm not that comfortable with it trading this high above the 200-day, but I'll probably add more if it breaks 200. I'm just going to hold the current one. But 205 is kind of your if it breaks 205 this week, I would probably sell out no matter what price you had, because I do think that we get down to the 190 if you're trading it. I'll probably look to add a little bit more for a long-term play. You know what's under 20? It's Cleveland Cliffs. It's up 1% in pre-market. Devon is making a turn. Still doesn't have confirmation, but it's up 0.49. Oxy is up a little bit. Oh, I got to go get the dog bed. Okay, I'll get your bed. I know you two were sound asleep. The whole time you were sound asleep. Okay. Here we are. Here's your bed. Here you go. Okay. There you go. Go on. Good girls. What? Do you want what? What do you want? Okay, come on. Come on. Come on. What? No? Okay. Okay. Oh, you just want to lay on top. Let me look at Visa. I like Visa under 200. Yeah, I'm not buying Visa here. No way. There's no catalyst. I could be wrong, but you got too many gaps down here. And I think with a weakening consumer, you're going back down. Let's see. Save. Morning, Willem. My favorite greenskeeper. Rec. RECHF. Recharge. Just got you out with a 21% gain. The RSI is down at 43. The MACD looks like it's coming back up. You've broken this wedge. but I guarantee you they're not making money. They're not even on freaking FinViz, so I can't even look them up. But I will tell you, my algorithm loses you 93% versus you only losing 6% in buy and hold. Your average win on the algorithm, you only win 32% of the time. Your average win is 35%. So it's a crazy volatile stock. Let's look at DVN. I like DVN. I mean, 8.19% dividend. Why wouldn't you add it at 53 right now? Look at the mean price. The target price is 74. President and CEO bought a bunch at 53. President and CEO bought $500,000 worth, which again, he's not a ton, 10,000 shares. He's putting in a bottom at 53 right now. The two directors bought what? $250,000? One guy bought $250,000 worth. That was last week. Yeah, Christian, I went over KOLD. KOLD, in my mind, Devin, here's Devin. Let's look at let's stick on Devin. So, in my mind, they're putting a bottom here at 53. You've got some a gap up here at 74.75, which is back to the November time frame. But if we look at a long term, let's look at a weekly on Devin. You're still not down to the 200-day. The 200-day is 33. So you've got this enormous gap. Volume shelves don't really mean that much on a weekly. But if we just look at it, you can see the volume shelf here. The volume weighted average price is 63. And I just think, again, if those guys are buying, it's little amounts, but you're under the 50-day. The last time you were under the 50-day was way back here during the energy weakness. From a energy standpoint, you can see Devon should be like in the 40s or so. But with energy pricing being so volatile, they're just going to make more money. And they're returning a 10% dividend to you. So, and KOLD, we went over KOLD. I mean, look at that. Look at that MACD. The MACD line is just soaring straight up. You're up 12% in pre-market. So Walmart has come back, by the way, down by 2% to positive. So I'm going to switch you over to Active Trader Pro. SGML is the one that Tesla is rumored to buy or buying or whatever. Here it is. According to Bloomberg, released after Friday, Tesla is considering a takeover of Sigma Lithium. The stock jumped on the news. People with knowledge of the matter said CEO Elon Musk has been in talks with potential advisors about a bid. Tesla is also reportedly considering a takeover of several other metal mining companies amid increased demand for battery materials. If they take over Sigma, game over for a lot of other EV car makers. The market's open already. Let me go to Anchor. God, it's 10 o'clock. New episode, create an episode. Browse. Podcast, there we go. And we're going to insert some music. There we go. We'll put that one in. Gonna insert an ad. There we go. KOLD is crazy. Does it still have confirmation on here on a 5-minute? God, it's got to come down at some point. Its high was $80.10. Markets are down. Morning, Sherry, by the way. Sherry, is this week your trial? I can insert 2 ads. I can make people listen to 2 ads. Let's look at the daily. I'll look at a 3-month. That's a 3-month. You don't quite have a hammer there. You do have a hammer. Is that 221? As of right now, if we were to close here, that would be a hammer candle with a gap, 2 gaps from the 2 days prior. That'd be huge. I don't want 1 minute. I like 5 minutes. KOLD is just, I don't know when it's going to be done, but it's up 12% now. I don't think my Active Trader Pro is updating. I guess it is updating. It's just slow. It's just slow. Save episode. SPY. Zephin. Dude, you're a monster. Zephin, I would have done the same damn thing. And by the way, no regrets. No regrets whatsoever. You made money. That's the important part. Nobody could have. I mean, if you could foresee the future, that would be great. One. But there's no way anybody could have. I mean, if you could have told that and you could have timed it. I mean, even at 20, looking back, at 22 when you sold, and I would have said, oh, you're crazy to sell. It's still got confirmation and blah, blah, blah. You're good to go. No. No, I mean, and then hold it on till 80. I mean, at $20, you would have 4 times your money. There's no way you could determine that. No way. No way whatsoever. Focus on SPY, QQQ, SBML, SBML. Do SGML. Tesla, NVDA, Google, Walmart, Home Depot, Meta, BIR, SQ, Carvana, LCID, NEO, PFE, Boeing, Intuit. Okay. I'm going to copy all this. And we're going to publish. And then I'm going to do a Twitter one. I don't know why this does this, but it does. We'll put that up there. I have Carvana in there. I have Workhorse in there. I have those. Home Depot. Okay, let's see. We're going to just X tweet. And I'm going to probably TQQQ, SQQQ, SOXL, DKNG, IBIO, HYG, Bed Bath & Beyond, which by the way is down, Palantir, AAPL. Let me delete 2. We'll tweet, and that's it. 2 tweets today. me see. There was a. Yeah, I know. The weekly stock picks algorithm is his algorithm is so good. It focuses on those 30 stocks, the Dow stocks. I'm trying to look for there was a chart that was interesting of SPY. I think it was SPY in 2008 to 2010. And I think I saw it on Twitter. Wow, and the 3-month Treasury bill, it pays 4.82%. And remember, that's a 3-month Treasury bill. I think Treasury bills are tax-free, if I'm not mistaken. So you get 4.84% tax-free. There's that. I'm looking for this chart. I guess it wasn't Twitter. Meta, ready to go. I'm looking for this chart. Next week's earnings calendar. I guess it wasn't on Twitter. Might have been on Instagram. Yeah, see, and that's the crazy part. Let me see if I can see this without signing in. Fixed income. There we go. Here, I'm taking you over to. So here you go. So, if you buy a U.S. Treasury bill, you are tax-free. And that's a huge part because that adds, an extra 1%, I think, to your total return. Considering like look at that. Your 1 year is your pivot. So your highest is 5.18 at either U.S. Treasury zeros. I think that's the zero. Yeah, U.S. Treasury, I think these are taxable at 4.91. But that's crazy to me. And you're getting less on corporate AAA. Municipal bonds, I know, are also tax-free. But they're only down at like 3%. Taxable municipal is at 5%. But I think that U.S. Treasury zeros. Let me see. Zero coupon bonds. Oh, no. Are bonds that do not pay interest during the life of the bond. Instead, investors buy zero coupon bonds at a deep discount for their face value, which is the amount the investor will receive when the bond matures or comes due. FINRA.org. Oh, so they don't pay like a 1-year bond. We'll pay you interest. Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, that's crazy. Okay, hit the thumbs up. I am out of here. I am going for my walk. I am going, let me see, when's this rain starting? Light rain for the next hour. Probably going to go to the store while it rains, and then I'll go walking when it's not raining, because the temperature is going to be nice all day. It's going to get up to 70 degrees here in Atlanta. Woo-hoo. So, okay. Thanks, you guys. If you have any questions,